What's going on, everybody? I am Jake Sennholz here today with odds.com. Wanted to throw a little video together to tell you a little bit about betting golf, why you should consider betting golf, why betting golf offers you even more opportunities than almost any other sport, and why you should consider putting some money down this weekend during the Charles Schwab Challenge. Now, the first thing that you should understand about golf that I just touched on briefly there in the intro is that there are seemingly unlimited opportunities to betting on golf. Now, depending on what bookie you go through, there may be more prop bets available than others. For instance, some bookies will allow you to bet on things such as closest to the pin on a certain hole, longest putt throughout the day, who hits the most fairways. Say golfers are coming up to the 13th hole, and you can bet on which golfer is going to be closest to the pin, hit the green, if a golfer is going to bogey or birdie that hole. Just really unlimited, seemingly, prop bets as long as you have a bookie who is willing to put up those lines. But even with your standard bookies, there's so much opportunity between entire weekend bets. Daily matchups, of course, they're going to have prop bets as well. But golf, you can bet on all day long. The thing that's special about golf is that it starts at 6 something in the morning, usually runs for about 12 hours until 6, 7 o'clock at night, almost dusk, especially the first 2 days of the tournament. And you can bet all day long. If you compare that to a football game or a baseball game, which are only going to last a handful of hours typically, even if a baseball game is one of those rare ones that goes 10, 12, 14 innings, you're still not talking about as much game time as you have with a golf tournament. The other special thing is that golf is different in the way of everybody competing under the same umbrella, but they're competing at different times of the day, competing in different conditions as far as weather. But they're still ultimately competing in the same tournament and competing against one another. If you're talking about baseball in relatively the same area, different teams at different points of the day might have to battle different kinds of weather and things like that, but it's not the same game. They're not all playing against each other, whereas in golf, somebody that tees off at 8 a.m. is going to deal with different weather conditions, and the course is going to play differently than somebody who is teeing off at 2 p.m. And ultimately, they are still playing against each other, but you can also bet based on what's going on at the time that these players hit the course. Maybe it's rainy and windy in the morning, so you've got to take that into consideration, factor that in. But then 10:30, 11 o'clock rolls around, and the skies clear up, and all of a sudden it's crystal clear and beautiful. Your outlook on the day might be different than the money that you were going to bet in the morning. The length of the tournament is another thing. It offers you 4 days of action with, again, usually 10 to 12 hours of actual play time across those 4 days. So any given golf tournament, we're talking about 40 playable, bettable hours of sports. You can't get that anywhere else. Even an entire weekend, an entire Sunday of football is only going to last you, from noon until basically 10:30 at night. You're going to have 4 days of action here when it comes to golf. Just one last point on the live betting on golf. It really is something that you can just sit and watch for a while. You don't have to bet before the round starts. You don't even have to bet the front nine. There's plenty of opportunity if you're watching somebody who you thought might struggle and they're out there killing it, or you thought somebody, for instance, maybe Rory McIlroy this weekend, you think he's going to go out and just have a great round and blow everybody out of the water, but maybe he comes out of the gate and struggles. You have a lot of opportunity within golf to analyze what's going on out there because rounds do take so long and the game moves rather slowly and methodically. So you're able to analyze the psyche of a player, analyze how they're approaching the course, analyze how the course is treating them, maybe watch how they're putting that day, whatever. and get a few holes under your belt before you decide to put some money down. That is one of the biggest advantages of golf. You don't have to bet before the tournament or before the round starts. You can just watch intently, watch closely, and see what there is to see, and kind of use your gut, especially in this Charles Schwab tournament, coming off of such a long hiatus due to the situation we all faced with coronavirus. Really, nobody knows how these golfers are going to react when they first hit the course on Thursday. Excuse me. Even though I'm sure most of these golfers were able to play plenty of golf during the 3-month hiatus, there's probably still going to be some rust to shake off. Who knows who's going to be rusty, who's going to be dialed in. That first day is pretty much going to be a total crapshoot. But there is 148 players in the field, which is the largest Charles Schwab field of all time. As mentioned earlier, Rory McIlroy, the current #1 golfer in the world, is set to make his very first appearance at the Charles Schwab Challenge. Over the course of a typical PGA year, this is not really one of the standout tournaments. It's not really one of the most sought-after tournaments. But winning this tournament, taking that trophy home, would be something to be very proud of for any golfer out of those 148 out there this weekend. It really, truly could be anyone's tournament this weekend. So with that in mind, I am employing one of two philosophies this weekend for the Charles Schwab Challenge. Either philosophy number one, maybe you've been chomping at the bit, you cannot wait to get your money in your bookie's hands, and you don't care about analyzing or watching the first round. You just want to get some money on. Maybe you're going to follow your gut. Maybe you're a big-time golfer and you have a certain guy that you believe in. I say go ahead and do it. Again, it's nearly impossible to try and cap this first day. Nobody really knows how the first day is going to turn out. So if you want to put some money down, I say more power to you, and go for it. And best of luck if you are betting big on the first day. Or you could follow the second of two philosophies, which is probably what I am pretty much going to follow here, the strategy I'm going to follow for the weekend. And that is watching every moment of action on Thursday, watching intently and studying these players, watching who's struggling, who's playing well, watching, again, how the course is set up, just watching and taking in everything you see on Thursday, and then using that information to then make smart bets starting Friday and hopefully make some money on through the weekend. Either strategy is honestly totally fine after a 3-month break. I probably will be leaning more towards the second strategy. I do have some weekend bets here that I already love. I think I'm only taking 2 bets on Thursday, but then we'll be hammering out quite a few bets on Friday throughout the rest of the weekend. Maybe we'll even just see what the cut ends up looking like, and only place a few bets on Thursday and Friday, and then really go heavy on Saturday and Championship Sunday. Whichever you decide to do, good luck this weekend. I'm going to run down a few bets here that I have looked at already that I think I'm pretty confident in, and I think are solid bets to get us back into the swing of betting on sports, and especially betting on golf. So as far as full weekend bets, mentioned Rory McIlroy a few times during the course of this video. I am personally not the biggest Rory fan in the world. I think, of course, he's a great golfer. Has been a consistent golfer throughout most of his career. I've just never been a huge Rory guy, especially not to put my money on. I have bet against him in almost every single Masters pool I've bet in. Just never really been somebody who trusts Rory a lot or puts a lot of money on Rory. Now, I can't blame you if you are a Rory fan. Again, #1 golfer in the world. He is somewhat of a safe bet in some people's minds, but never been a guy comfortable putting my money on Rory. So with that in mind, let's move on and see what I've got lined up here for this weekend, starting with Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm, currently the second ranked golfer in the entire world. He's one of my favorite guys to bet on. He's been my winning pick for the Masters the last 2 years in a row. I've got Jon Rahm to finish in the top 5 which is paying out plus 250. Also going to consider throwing a half a unit, maybe even a full unit on Jon Rahm to win the entire tournament. That is paying out plus 1150. So that's Jon Rahm top 5 plus 250 to win the tournament plus 1150. We're moving on now to Webb Simpson. Webb Simpson, a young golfer who always seemingly is around the top 10. Really solid golfer. Never really seems to make that push on Sunday, but he's always there in contention. I am going to throw some money at Webb Simpson to win the tournament, paying out plus 2,200. Brooks Koepka is my guy. Brooks not necessarily having the greatest year this year. Before the pandemic, he had a couple finishes that were in the hundreds. Brooks is a guy, though, that feeds off of not having to practice. He feeds off of just going out and casually playing golf because he's great at golf. He's stated before that he's not somebody who practices a ton. He just goes out and plays golf, and he's amazing at it. I think Brooks Koepka is set up to do some big things here this weekend, and don't want to call it easy money, but it is an opportunity to make a lot of money on Brooks Koepka here, as he is paying out plus 550 for a top 5 finish. Also going to put money on Brooks plus 2,500 to win the whole tournament. Honestly, in my opinion, Brooks Koepka plus 2,500 to do anything is a steal of a deal. Brooks could easily come out and win this tournament. And even if he doesn't win, a top 5, top 10 finish is well within his realm. So I've got money on Brooks Koepka top 5 and Brooks Koepka to win the whole tournament. Ricky Fowler, one of the few individuals on the PGA tournament who was able to compete in actual televised, meaningful competition during the last 3 months. I've got him taking a top 5 finish, paying out plus 800. Also going to throw some money at him on 35 to 1 chance to win the tournament. So Ricky Fowler, top 5 plus 800, plus 3,500 to win the tournament. Tony Finau is another guy like Webb Simpson. Not going to win a whole lot of tournaments, but always in contention. A solid golfer, a really solid golfer. Never gets too high, never gets too low. I've got him placing in the top 10, paying out plus 900. That's Tony Finau, top 10 plus 900. Kevin Na was last year's Charles Schwab Challenge champion. He is going to be looking to defend his championship. I don't think he's going to be able to win it again this year, but I do have him placing in the top 10, paying out at a 10 to 1 rate. So that's Kevin Na attempting to defend his championship, placing top 10, paying out plus 1,000. Phil Mickelson, top 5, plus 2,500. This one's just a little bit of a long shot with really good odds. Phil Mickelson, of course, he's a legend. Looked pretty good in his partnership with Tom Brady. And as long as he can come out and perform, all he's got to do is place in the top 5, and you're going to cash that plus 2,500. I am also throwing money at Phil Mickelson, top 10 plus 1,100. Bill Haas, top 10 plus 3,300. He is the lowest ranked golfer that I am betting on here. He is all the way down at the bottom with regards to chances to win. But I think Bill Haas, part of that opening group who gets to tee off Thursday morning at 6:50 from hole number 1, I think he has a chance to place in the top 10, paying out plus 3,300. Best bet of the weekend is going to be Jon Rahm in the top 5 plus 250. Not paying out an extreme amount, but Jon Rahm, it's almost a virtual certainty he is going to be towards the top of the leaderboard all weekend long. He's a very strong golfer who has been vocal about needing to get back in competition, chomping at the bit to get back out there. And I think Jon Rahm, the Spaniard, is going to cash that top 5 plus 250 bet for you come Sunday evening. Got just one prop bet for the weekend to throw at you here. It is victory by 1 stroke, paying out plus 200. I think there's going to be a bunch up at the top of the leaderboard, and that Sunday is going to come down to the back 9 or maybe even the last few holes, and that there's going to be a grouping that's very close to each other at the top. So I think whoever comes out of the tournament with a victory is going to win by just one stroke. So I have victory by one stroke paying out plus 200. My day one matchup bets and prop bets, I've only got two of them because, again, as mentioned earlier, I'm not going to go super heavy on day one or even day two. Probably will be putting most of my money down on Saturday and Sunday. But the two bets that I do have placed on Thursday are Brooks Koepka paying out plus 105 in a head-to-head competition against Bryson DeChambeau. So all Brooks Koepka has to do is beat Bryson DeChambeau by one stroke on Thursday, and you're going to cash that. That's paying out plus 105. And I've also got Jon Rahm to beat Rory McIlroy in heads-up competition. Jon Rahm paying out even money. So my two bets for Thursday are Brooks Koepka over Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm over Rory McIlroy. So with all that being said, I hope that you consider betting golf if you've never bet it before, or even maybe instead of jumping straight into betting golf, maybe if you've just never watched very much golf, I encourage you to watch it this weekend. Again, it is going to be a massive field, 148 players, which is more than the 144 players which we typically see in a Players' Championship. Of course, the Players' Championship, always one of the most fun tournaments to watch of the season. And the Players' Championship was going on when the whole coronavirus thing started and was canceled after just one round back on March the 12th. So that's not exactly a replacement for the Players' Tournament, but it is a comparable field. A couple of my favorite players, such as Tommy Fleetwood, not going to be participating in the Charles Schwab Challenge. But the top three players in the world are going to be grouped together on Thursday and Friday. A lot of other great golfers out on the course as well. So check out the Charles Schwab Challenge this weekend. And of course, you can keep up with all the action with me. I'll be live tweeting and throwing some more stuff out there as far as bets over on my Twitter at Sennholz on Sport. You can keep up with us at odds110 on Twitter or check us out over at odds.com. Sports are coming back, and we are all better for it. Again, I am Jake Sennholz. I'll talk to you at some point this weekend on Twitter, and good luck with your bets, everybody.